Hey everybody, T.O. from Art Geek Teaching. Today we are going to look at creating this abstract landscape in real time. Coming up. Okay, I'm going to do this upside down. I'm going to use drywall compound. I'll come up here. Actually, I'm going to put it out with a bigger palette knife here. The chunkies that I have, I'm going to take out on this one. There'll be some in here because this is older drywall compound that I had.
So
I'm just making various design in here, nothing in particular. We'll try to, this will be kind of a landscape sort of thing, but obviously going to be abstract. And so I'm going to come in, lightly go over the top. I do want to build up some taller peaks so that I can knock them down. Sometimes the bigger palette knife works better for this. You just want to skim it lightly over the top. Want some of these to be a little bit taller. Then I'm going to just set this aside to dry. Okay, that'll do it. We'll just set this aside to dry, come back to it, add some paint. Knock these down. Good enough. All right, I am back to this, and I don't know if you can see that or not. Where I left this was I put some joint compound on here in very loose, very vague shapes of trees here, maybe some land here, and now what I'm going to do is just knock the edges off of this real quickly, take it outside, get the drywall dust out. This is drywall compound, and then we'll come back and take it to the next step. All right, that's it. Now you can see this is actually a canvas stretched. It's not a cradled panel or anything, and so there's a lot of movement. There's a lot of flexibility in that canvas. If I mess with it too much, this is going to crack, especially before it gets any paint on it. Not that it's a big deal, but I'm not going to move it around too much. I'm going to go ahead and take it outside and knock the drywall dust off. Okay, we're back inside, and I'm just going to throw a coat of gesso on here.
I have the sound on from the studio, but when I'm running the heat, it's really noisy, and so I just thought I would do a voiceover in this, but I let the sound run underneath. And I wanted to keep this video in real time, just so you can see. I mean, this is a very short process, but anyway, I'm really scrubbing the gesso into the texture. And again, this texture is just drywall mud or joint compound. You could use spackling paste. It's a little more porous, has a little bit different texture. It's not as smooth. It's more granular, I guess. You could also use texture paste, which is what it's made for. And there are some advantages to the texture paste. It is more acrylic in nature, and so it's less likely to chunk out. But this, once you get it painted, is pretty solid. And if you put it on a cradle panel, it's definitely good to go. But anyway, I'm just going to let the rest of this play. Nothing but gesso and really scrubbing it into all of the textural places.
Okay, I don't remember which way this was, if it was this way or if it was this way, but it doesn't really matter. Gonna lay in a little black here. I'm going to show you 3 different brushes. Here is a 3-inch cheapo chip brush. Here is a 2.5-inch chip brush. This one's a little stiffer. And then this is one of my favorite go-to. This is just a cheap 2-inch, Master's Touch brush. But it works really well too. But I wanted to show you the differences. This, you could see how long and stiff the bristles are. Okay, any one of these will work, but I just want to show you kind of the difference. I'm going to wet my brush just a little bit. Just going to go ahead and get all these ready. Okay, I'm going to start with this little dude right here. And really, all I'm doing here is I'm just going to brush in some black. You can see that covers really well. Get this out of the way so I don't put my elbow in it. Same paint, exactly. Right? So it doesn't cover quite as well. Just kind of depends on what you're gonna want to try to do. If Finally, this guy. Okay, so your brush choice is going to make a difference on this. I can finish these edges back here really, really quickly with this. But when I get up towards the gold, I'm going to want to switch my brushes. Just because I would kind of like some of the brush stroke to show through. And we're going to let this dry. I should probably go ahead and do the edges. I don't know if I'm off the edge. Just because we can. Slam some more paint out there in just a sec. It's my black. Mars Black. This is student grade paint also, but I actually really like this paint. This is from Social Artworking. So that is you'll know in a lot of communities there's a social artworking place that you can go and do some canvases. Usually it's an individual, small company, mom and pop kind of deal. And they have it laid out really nicely, but their paints are super nice. I like them for the price for sure. All right. I haven't done this edge yet. Try not to get messy here. Of course, I can go back and clean these up later for sure, but get some of this done right now. All right, I'm gonna finish these up with this brush. Go wash my brush, dry them, and then maybe I'll be able to put on some blue. And as I get more of the paint out of my brush, I'm going to come back up into this area and dry brush it a little bit. Okay, all my edges are good to go. Ish. Used up my black paint. A little more black paint in here. All right, cool. Gonna leave that, wash the brushes, be right back. Okay, we have some cobalt blue, some white, and some ultramarine blue. I'm gonna mix cobalt blue and white here just to get a lighter blue. And then I have a catalyst wedge. Actually, I'm not sure this is catalyst, whatever, silicone scraper. I have a auto body Bondo applicator, and I have an old card. Any of these will work to put this paint on with. We'll see if there's a difference. Okay, first I'm going to mix my colors. I don't even know if I'm on. Here we go. Just going to mix these so I have a nice light blue. All right, there we go. Use my silicone first. The challenge with the silicone for me is that it is really easy to scrape from the bottom and much more difficult to leave that paint on there. But it scrapes right off of there, as you can see, but it's a lot harder for me if I want to leave some of it on. It works great for oil and cold wax. It works great for a lot of things. For this particular process, not my favorite tool. Okay, auto body. Same kind of deal. Right, you can get down to the bottom. Harder to leave it up. Let's see what happens with our little card. Three bears, right? For me, I kind of like the card. The challenge is it's short, and so you're going to get your fingers in it. Whereas both of these are taller. I think what I'll do is use my smaller auto body one. You can see it's a little bit longer than this, but it's also deeper. So for this, today I'm going to use this. Just wanted to show you the differences. Any of them will work. It's just a matter of personal preference, I think. All right, let's get some paint going. Whoa. You can see I'm not really being too careful. What I don't want is I don't want it all put together. So I'm trying to be light-handed. some of this dark down in here. More paint. Probably use some white. I think my blue is okay. Whoop. Chunkies. And honestly, to do this sort of thing, a heavy body paint will work much better. This is pretty loose paint, and a heavy body paint will make it a little bit easier to stick up. So the other thing I could do is add matte medium to this, and maybe I'll do that in another one, but just playing here. Probably better get some paint on that thing right there. Good. All right, let's turn this guy around. Then I'm just gonna hang out, let this thing dry. Oh, jeez. You see the bottom of this? Down here. You can see that whole thing. Okay. Some blue again. White should be good. Make it darker at the bottom. Okay, we'll let this thing dry up. Okay, so I've been thinking what'll happen if I just go in and mix this a little bit with my brush. They're a little bit too unmixed. It might ruin it. Let's see what happens. That or that? I like that. So let's go back in. Got a little bit of white left up here. Right? I kind of like those. You could do that same thing with a palette knife. All right, gonna call it good. All right, we'll just shoot some water on here. Just pry it first. Dust it with some spray paint. Ish. Gonna let it dry, and then we'll come back. Okay, we're popping that paper off of there, and you can see it's just left a little bit of a texture there. That's all. It pulled up some of the paint from where the water acted as a resist. So yeah, that's it. That's all that we're doing with water. There is it acts as a resist, and then you can pull it up. Okay, I'm just lightly fogging the sky there just to bring it down a little bit. I'm not sure that I like that. I might have should have left it, but I went ahead with the thought, and that was just to fog it after I put water on there again as a resist. And you know, now I'm going to add a little bit of paper there again, pull up some of that. So it's just a process, a give and take process. We'll put a little bit towards the bottom, and yeah, just give and take. We're adding and subtracting, adding and subtracting.
Okay, after I dried that with the hair dryer and pulled off the paper, now I'm just going to put some black paint towards the bottom, and just going to put that in there. It's actually fairly dry. You can see I'm kind of wanting to be able to see a little bit of the background underneath it, and when I finish up, it's darker than I had hoped, and so we'll take some of it off, but right now I'm just kind of brushing it on there, and you can see it's fairly dry. Okay, that was paper towel. A little more aggressive is a wipe. Again, I'm just trying to get some texture in that. That's all I'm doing. Could use tin foil, plastic. Plastic does work about the best, I think. But anyway, pulling up some of the paint there, and you can see I'm going to go ahead and spray it again. You can barely see it, but I've just spritzed it with some water, and I want some of that texture to be able to from pulling up some of the paint from the water. So spraying it a couple times here and lifting some of that paint up again. Let it set for just a sec.
Blob off the big parts. There we go. And I think just a little bit more down in here. Maybe right there, right there. That's set for just a sec. Yeah. Cool. That is actually okay. Guess it goes this way. Fun. Good to go. Okay, so I'm just going to put a coat of polyacrylic on this. It's all dry, and you could do this with a foam brush. You could do it with a roller. I'm going to use kind of this broader brush. Foam rollers work really, really well for this, but I'm just going to go ahead and put it on here with this little guy. So I really like polyacrylic. Some people don't. A lot of people don't want to seal or varnish with, you know, this type of product, but I really like the look of it when it's done. It's pretty inexpensive. I think a quart of that is 25 bucks, and it'll go a long ways. So it's, you know, less expensive than most of our paints are for sure. So anyway, just gonna get in here, make sure I get a good coat on all of it. Obviously, you need to make sure your paint is totally 100% dry first. Sometimes I have tried to do this, I thought it was dry and it wasn't, and it really can be kind of a mess. So just gonna get a good coat on it and set it aside to dry. That is really it. I'm gonna go ahead and make sure the sides are done just so they look the same. That way this thing does not have to be framed. Could certainly frame it, but it doesn't have to be. I don't want it thick enough that it'll drip, obviously. Make sure I get the bottom. Make sure I got this side okay. And the last thing I'll do is just kind of go over it one direction. Got a piece of something in there. Again, just to make sure I don't have any drips or whatever. I don't know what that is, but little black paint on my finger. Obviously, I need to stay away from that with my brush because okay, that's it. This washes up with soap and water. Good to go. Okay, here's just a quick little flyover, and totally abstract. Could have been more intentional and perhaps made some wannabe mountains or wannabe trees in there. But really just having fun experimenting with color and techniques and texture. And this would also be fun to do with oil and cold wax and would look, I think, totally differently, even though some of the techniques are the same. So I may end up doing one with heavy body paints and oil and cold wax just so we compare, but not sure yet. But anyway, there you have it.
Thank you. Have a great night.